My name is Gary Kowalski. I'm the Director of Sales for the Entrust Group. This month's topic is growing your business through the use of self-directed IRAs. We are recording this conference call, and I am on a headset, so if there are people in the audience listening, if for some reason it's difficult to hear me, you should have a chat box on the lower left-hand portion of your screen, and send a note in, and I can always pick up and use the receiver. But in our test, it seemed as though people were hearing me okay, but and I will try to speak a little bit more loudly than I might normally. But at the same time, I do want to make sure I'm heard. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all very much for joining us today. That is a picture of me, and we're just going to move along to the agenda items. Just a quick overview of what we'll discuss here this morning. I want to go into just a couple of slides, the basics on who the Entrust Group is, a little bit of background on what we do and who we are, and then we'll move along to just kind of brush through the basics, the very basics of self-directed IRAs. We're just going to cover some of the permissible investments that individuals can purchase through their IRAs, as well as the short list of what is prohibited. We'll move along from there to discuss the B2B program, its benefits, how you can grow your business through self-direction and through education, and then how to sign up if it's something that you're interested in. So I'm going to speak for probably about 20 to 25 minutes, and thereafter I will take questions. Thank you. Okay, just a quick disclaimer. The Entrust Group does not provide any investment advice or endorse any products. We are strictly a third-party administrator. This webinar and all of our webinars are to educate our client and business prospect base. We strongly encourage and urge clients and business owners alike to work with financial advisors, accountants, attorneys, whoever it is that's providing them advice. Work with them on due diligence. We don't make any recommendations on products or companies. Okay, the Entrust Group. We are an administrator for self-directed retirement plans, primarily self-directed IRAs. We've been a leader in the industry in doing this for more than 30 years. We have 14,000 plus clients across the country. And I believe at this point, I think we have a little bit more than $2 billion in assets under administration. We pride ourselves on the quality of our team, and there's a designation in the industry known as a CISP. The CISP stands for Certified IRA Services Professional. All of the eligible staff at Entrust have earned that designation. You have to have a minimum of 4 years in the retirement services industry, so not every one of our team has that, but anyone who has earned that designation, and we have ongoing training and support in that regard. We utilize that knowledge to share educational opportunities with clients and business partners alike. We have a national CE program that is currently being expanded. Right now it's available for realtors. In 2013, we anticipate being able to offer CE as well for attorneys, CPAs, and financial advisors. We provide our education through online webinars such as this, as well as what we call in-person events through our local office model. We're the only one in the industry that has a local office model. Other self-directed administrators have a central location. You can call them up via an 800 number and work with them. We feel, and the feedback we receive from clients and business partners is that there's tremendous value in being able to meet with us face-to-face, knowing who your representative is, being able to call on them directly or meet with them in person. Currently, we have offices in 9 cities, and we anticipate establishing 2 more later this year, one in Washington, D.C., a second in northern New Jersey, just outside New York City. I would also anticipate us expanding at the rate of probably 3 to 5 new offices each of the next few years. And for those of you interested in seeing those locations, you can view those up on our website. To move along to just some of the basics of self-direction, I want to start with what a self-directed IRA is. Self-directed is an industry term for an IRA that invests in any type of non-traditional asset. But the self-directed IRA is really the same as any IRA that you know. It's just that if you go to a large bank or a brokerage firm and speak with them about an IRA, they're going to talk about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, CDs, those kinds of things, which are certainly valuable investment opportunities. But generally speaking, they don't administer non-traditional assets such as private stock or real estate, promissory notes, precious metals, and those kinds of things. So the industry calls those self-directed because those are investments that typically the clients choose and invest in directly, if you will. So self-direction allows investors to expand their choices, and it provides them a lot more flexibility that they can typically get from a bank or brokerage firm. I'm just going to walk through some of the permissible types of assets that you can invest in with your IRA. There's actually only a very short list of things that you cannot invest in, and we'll get to that in a moment. But you'll see on the left-hand side of your screen, those are primarily all real estate-related types of assets. And over the years here at Entrust, our client base has gravitated primarily toward real estate. It's always been our most common investment choice that clients make. Single and multifamily homes, commercial property, foreign property, developed and undeveloped land are all very common for us. Private REITs is another area where we've seen a lot of growth in the past several years. There are lots of funds out there that will invest in fix and flip or cash flowing properties through a variety of different strategies. And our clients who may want to involve themselves or invest in real estate, but perhaps are not experts in real estate themselves, can invest in a fund and invest that way. Some of the assets on the right-hand side I'll just touch on as well. Trust deed investments is sort of like making a mortgage to an individual. It's loaning money to a homeowner so that they can stay in their home and collateralizing that loan with the trust deed or the house. So in a case where the borrower defaults, your IRA would be collateralized with the trust deed and you would take possession of the home. Precious metals is a burgeoning area. We've seen a lot of activity in that the past few years. Private stock after real estate is our next most common investment choice clients make. Basically, that's investing in privately held companies. So someone who, say, 6 to 12 months ago wanted to invest in Groupon or Facebook or something like that could have done so through their IRA, just not on the public market or public exchanges. A couple of others I'll touch on, unsecured and secured loans. It's also very common. There's something we've seen more of lately, which I think is a very interesting opportunity for certain people if the circumstances are right, and that's student loans. There's over $1 trillion in student loan debt in this country, and we're seeing more and more clients where the client will know someone, say, as an example, a student who maybe they're a senior in college, they have $60,000 in student loans accrued. They may be paying 6, 7, 8% to borrow those funds, while the IRA holder has, maybe $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 in cash sitting in their IRA, earning 0.25% in a money market, and they're not sure what to do with it for a variety of reasons. They can make a loan to the student to pay off that debt at, say, 4 or 5%. So it's an attractive return for the lender in this environment, as well as for the student to diminish their interest rate. Obviously, it's terrific if you know the student pretty well and there's an existing relationship and you trust them. But we've certainly seen a lot of activity in that regard with promissory notes. The last one I'll touch on is life settlements, because most people are not familiar with life settlements. So many times when we discuss it, people find it a fairly compelling thing to look into. Life settlement is simply investing in the beneficiary rights to a life insurance policy. You can invest either on an individual life insurance contract, or you can invest in a pool of funds that, or a pool that invests in a fund of life insurance contracts. So it's an interesting investment, and in certain markets for us, it's very, very common. Most of the questions that people are submitting via chat, I'll answer most likely after the program is wrapping up. But there is a question someone's asking: can you do a student loan with your own child? And the answer is no to that question. Your own child would be considered a disqualified person. And that was something I wasn't going to go into, but I'll just touch on very briefly here. Disqualified persons are your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, basically your lineal ascendants and descendants. However, your brother, sister, uncle, aunt are not disqualified. And there are a few exceptions on investing or working, making an investment along with a disqualified person, but those are a little bit beyond the scope of what I'm presenting. If people have questions on that at the end, though, I'm happy to discuss it. And there's one other question I'll mention here. Can you please, since we got slightly off topic of life settlements, reiterate what they are? Sure. A life settlement is when you invest in the beneficiary rights to a life insurance contract. So it's not purchasing life insurance. Let's say I know someone, a friend who has a life insurance contract. I can't purchase that contract from them with my IRA, nor can I purchase life insurance with my IRA on someone. However, if that friend of mine has a life insurance contract, for whatever reason they don't wish to maintain it, or they need funds, or they don't have anyone that they want to leave the proceeds to as the beneficiary, I can purchase the beneficiary rights to that contract. So technically I don't own the life insurance itself. I simply purchase a contract for the beneficiary rights. It's kind of a, how would I describe it, a very subtle differentiator. But there are firms that specialize in offering life settlements, and that's primarily where our clients find those. And for additional questions on those, you can certainly contact anyone at Entrust after this program, and we can speak in more depth. Right now I'm going to move on to investment restrictions. It's a pretty short list of items that you cannot invest in with your IRA. Collectibles we'll begin with. You cannot invest in works of art, say wine, antiques, rugs, stamps, coins, anything, again, considered a collectible. Now, with metals or coins, there is an exception noted at the bottom of the slide. Certain purity levels of gold, silver, platinum, and palladium are permissible. And that would include, say, gold and silver eagle coins. So it's all based on the purity level. If it meets the IRS requirements for purity, you can purchase the metal, whether it's in coin form or, say, bullion. The second one on that list is life insurance. As we just discussed, you cannot purchase life insurance with your IRA. The life settlement, again, is kind of a legally slightly different, but in a sense, it's very, very similar. S-corps as well, due to tax law on S-corps, IRAs are prohibited from investing in those. Okay, we're going to now move on to the B2B program itself. And the Entrust B2B program, and by the way, there's no cost to the program. It's free. But our B2B program enables you as a business owner to differentiate your business from others and provide value to your clients primarily by educating them on the possibilities available to them through self-directed investing. I haven't seen data on this, but by my estimation, I'm going to guess that it's about somewhere between 80 to 85% of the general public is not aware of the breadth of investments that you can make with your IRA. The vast majority of people know what the banks and brokers offer, which is the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and CDs. So by Entrust educating you as prospective business partners on what is possible through self-direction, you in turn can educate your clients, and that enables you to expand your business. And I'm sorry, I think I somehow got a slide ahead of myself. I apologize, I went out of sequence there, but well, we're just going to move right along to this slide. So by understanding self-direction, you can introduce to your clients new ways for them to invest, as well as alternative methods of funding their investments. So I'll give an example of that. So let's say you are a realtor and you have a lot of clients that invest in investment property, strictly properties for either fix and flip or cash flowing as rental property. If your clients are investing now with their non-retirement funds, by educating them on the fact that, hey, you can also use the funds in your IRA to invest, you're expanding their wherewithal to purchase what you're offering. A client can theoretically invest both with their IRA, so they may make an additional purchase if it has the wherewithal, or perhaps there's a property that they would like to invest in. Maybe that property is $300,000, and in non-retirement funds they have $250,000, but in their IRA maybe they have $200,000 there as well. There are ways where the client can pool those funds together, both their retirement and non-retirement funds, in a way that would enable them to make that $300,000 investment. And again, I want to provide examples like that in this discussion. I don't want to go into great depth on those, but you're enhancing your client's wherewithal to make a variety of new investment opportunities available to them. Growing your business through your IRA. I'm being a little bit redundant here, but I want to start with that first bullet. It's really by educating your clients that they can invest using their IRAs, you're enhancing their wherewithal to invest, and thus you can attract new clients. You're really, in a nutshell, enhancing your client's ability to invest in either what you sell or what you're raising funds for. So I just provided the one example on real estate. Now, provide a couple of others, because as business owners, it can be a great way to raise funds for either your business or a fund perhaps that you're putting together. So as an example, we have a business partner who has a private REIT. They purchase homes for fix and flip in real estate. And they were looking for investors to invest in the fund. We started working with them, I guess it was about 18 months ago. They were unaware of self-directed investing and what was possible with the IRA. And they were trying to raise several $1 million. We presented this to them. They realized, wow, now as we go out trying to attract new dollars from our client base, we can demonstrate and educate to our clients that they can use their retirement funds. Thus, we can fill that subscription for our private REIT much, much faster. And then it ended up with somewhere around 25 to 30 clients in their first fund using IRA dollars to invest. Without that, it probably would have taken them several months in order to raise the capital that they were seeking. So it's not only, in that case, it's a great way to raise funds as a business for your own investment fund, but it's providing a new area for your client base, educating them, expanding their horizons, and really adding value and differentiating yourself in their eyes. Another example is there's a renewable resource company that we work with that is constantly issuing new shares of stock, and they're raising funds almost exclusively through private funding, through retirement funds. They find it's a terrific method of raising funds, and it's good for them because the IRA holders tend to be long-term investors. So when you present these opportunities to clients, it opens a whole new window and world to them, and again, differentiating yourself by demonstrating your knowledge and kind of being an advisor to them in that regard. The other areas that our B2B program I think can be very, very helpful to participants is we conduct a lot of events, both online like this via webinar as well as in person through our local offices. You can see those up on our website. They're happening all over the country. And when you work with your representative or our local business development manager, we will oftentimes have our business partners be part of those local events where we co-host. And you invite your client database, and at the same time, we invite ours, and we talk about self-direction and its possibilities and what you can and can't do and who you can and cannot invest with. And you may be able to educate the audience on some type of unique investment opportunity. You can't pitch them or sell them. It's got to be educational. But nonetheless, there are opportunities to present to a brand new audience. As well, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to, last I checked, I think it was between 25 and 30,000 people, both clients and prospective clients. And we're always looking for good newsletter submissions on timely topics or unique areas where, again, Entrust does not provide investment advice or sell product, so we're not experts on trust deed investing, but a lot of our business partners are, or perhaps a business trust or single member LLC or things of that nature, or tax advice. And so we work with business partners to construct those articles, and it can generate a lot of exposure for our partners. Okay. Title of this next slide is We Don't Compete, We Complement. Again, I want to just repeat, Entrust does not recommend or endorse any product. We're not selling. So one of the ways that we can complement is, again, to educate you so you can educate your clients and present them with more opportunities. There are some business partners, though, that when we first start speaking with them, especially financial advisors, that they like to be intimately involved in their clients' portfolios, whether it's directly managing it or overseeing it, and keeping on top of it. We do allow our clients, and obviously the client themselves, they have to sign off on it, but we have what are called interested party designations, as well as limited powers of attorney that a client can grant to a financial advisor. So when a client grants you an interested party designation, it allows you as the advisor to view their statements, their account statements, and see what's going on, what the client is investing in, see the value of the account, and kind of keep on top of what's happening. If the client is comfortable enough with you as an advisor where they sign off on an LPOA, a limited power of attorney, they can actually cede you control to make the investments on their behalf. And so I think that's an important thing to recognize and to present in terms of how we can complement a business and be an additional resource tool for advisors. Self-directed investing is not right for everyone, but there are certain clients that it fits very, very well based on either their expertise or their long-term objectives or perhaps their investment strategy. For one reason or another, it can fit them very well, a means of diversifying from their current investment pool. The types of businesses that can benefit from our program. Business owners and venture capitalists. It can be a terrific way to raise funds for either a startup or a venture that maybe you're investing in as well. Real estate professionals, pretty well anyone across the board. We work very commonly with brokers, with agents, CCIMs, on secondary offerings, private REITs, pretty well the whole gamut. It's, again, our most common investment that clients choose. Legal and tax professionals, self-direction often fits well into the strategies as they are advising their clients. Hedge funds, again, it can be a terrific way to raise funds or a value add for your clients, or both. Precious metals dealers, as I mentioned earlier, it's a burgeoning area. We work with dozens of dealers. We don't, if a client asks us who should I buy my metal from, we're going to say there's a whole array of different companies. We're not going to advise them on it. But there's a lot of interest, and a lot of dealers are generating a lot of business that way. And educational organizations as well. How to become a B2B participant. The process is certainly a pretty straightforward one. On our website, there is a 4 or 5 field form, which you fill out your name, your email, I think your phone number, and basically request a B2B application document. That request will go to your local business development manager, who will contact you to speak a little bit about the program, try to answer your questions about it and about self-direction, and how you might work together and just kind of mutually determine whether it's a good fit. Presuming it is, the application is one page. It's very straightforward. Please just submit that to us. We'll do some basic due diligence on your company, look at the principals, whether there's any criminal activity, whether there are serious complaints or anything untoward about the company. But it's pretty straightforward. There are not a lot of denials, if you will. The process generally takes 10 to 15 business days for review, after which we contact you and provide you kind of a welcome kit, and we talk about guidelines on how to work with us, whether it's a webinar, whether it's an event, whether it's an article submission, et cetera. If you have questions beyond this, this webinar, you can always give me a call at the 800 number there. That's our mainline headquarters here in Oakland, California, and you have my extension or my email. You can call our education coordinator, Ty Bostic. On our website, you'll see our office locations where our business development representatives are listed. You can contact them directly. Pretty well anyone in the company, if you just call that 800 number, they can put you in touch with, with the right person if either Ty or I are not available for whatever reason when you call. I mentioned at the beginning of this program that all of our national webinars are recorded and available for download. You can find those up on our website. We do also have other webinars locally that you can view on the site. Next month's national webinar is on September 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific. It's on investing in private placements. We have others coming up this Thursday, I think it is, in investing in multifamily housing. There are a couple of them coming up in September on investing in foreign real estate, another on trust deeds. We also have our in-person local events up on the website as well. So for those of you who want to take a deeper dive into self-direction, permissibility, how transactions are structured, or specific types of investments like the private placements or foreign property or whatnot, those are things that you can find at our local events or call our local business development representatives. Well, actually, I think I'll leave it. I was switching the slide, but I think this one's probably a better one because it has our direct phone number. I want to thank everyone for listening this morning, for dialing in, and for participating. I'm going to kind of turn it over now to some of the questions that are coming in. Let's see, one of the questions is, can we get a copy of this webinar? Sure, if you email me, I can send you a copy of the slides. That's not generally available on the download on the website, but certainly the recording playback will be up on our website, available for download either later today or sometime tomorrow. There's another question. Let's see, it's scrolling on me here. I apologize. I have just opened an LLC. Can I invest in my own LLC? The answer to that is, if you've already set up the LLC and you are the owner of it, at this point you cannot invest in it through your IRA. The way you can invest in your own LLC is at inception. So let's say, as a quick example, you have $50,000 in cash in your IRA and you want to set up an LLC. You set up the LLC as a kind of a shell, if you will, and then you would have the IRA purchase the LLC. Now, it's possible, I'd have to know more about your scenario. Maybe that's something you have just done. You could give a call, or my recommendation would be to call any of the business development managers on our website and speak with them. They can certainly go into more depth with you, but generally speaking, if you already have an LLC set up, then no, you could not invest in it after the fact. Okay, client asks, if a client chooses not to set up checkbook control, how are day-to-day expenses of the real estate property handled? In other words, contractors, mortgage payments, supplies, etc. He has a follow-up question. When is the New Jersey office scheduled to open? I'll answer the second because it's very quick. We're tentatively looking at establishing an office in New Jersey no later than early November. In large part, it will depend on our ability to find the right person to run the office. But it will be somewhere in northern New Jersey, kind of suburban New York City. Once we have more information on that, it will be up on the website. So going back to your first question, if a client chooses not to set up checkbook control, how are the day-to-day expenses of the real estate property handled? Contractors, mortgage payments, etc. Those would be handled by the client submitting what's called a payment authorization form to Entrust. It's a simple form that allows you to direct Entrust to make that payment on behalf of your IRA. So let's say two scenarios. You have a contractor coming in to put in a new water heater, kind of a one-time expense. You can fill out that form, authorize us to make the payment to them. We do so by check. The cost is $5. Alternatively, let's say you're paying a landscaper or you want to contract with a landscaper to come in every month. You can set up on that payment authorization form a recurring payment so that on X date each month we are authorized to pay up to a certain dollar amount. Perhaps the fee is typically $100 to $125 or whatever it might be. You can say pay this by the 15th up to $125. For each check issued, again, it would be a $5 charge to issue that check to the contractor. So I hope that answers that question for you. Next question is, does Entrust provide marketing materials that intermediaries can use? It's a great question. The answer is sort of yes and no. We intend to be doing that in the short term. The materials are not yet available, but what they will be, I've seen some very rough drafts of them, is something that you can download and insert your own contact information in and print up. And I'm not certain whether we'll provide anything physical, like a physical document. I don't think we would on the latter, but I think we would provide the graphics and the electronic form of the materials. I'm not sure if we collect your email from this webinar, but if you send me a note, just even in the subject line with your name, just say marketing materials for intermediaries and put your email address, I will follow up with you on that over the next couple of days. I'd rather find out more definitively, but I'm pretty certain we will at the very least provide them electronically. Can two people pool funds from their separate IRAs to buy real estate? The answer to that is yes. So as a scenario, let's say, going back to the one I mentioned earlier, let's say there's a $300,000 property, and Gary, I have $200,000 in my IRA, and a good friend of mine has $200,000 in his IRA. Can we pool our funds to buy that $300,000 property? Absolutely. Now, there are certain disqualified parties I mentioned earlier with whom you could not partner after the fact, such as a spouse. But even then, typical of the Internal Revenue Code, there is an exception. So let's say that same scenario, I have $200,000 in my IRA. I want to purchase a $300,000 property. My wife has $200,000 in her IRA. If we pool our funds at inception to make that investment, in other words, at the time the real estate is purchased, even we can pool our funds at that time. What we couldn't do is have me purchase the property and then 6 months later have my wife invest in it. That you can't do. But it's really fascinating what you can do with real estate. You can even borrow with your IRA to purchase real estate. So that same scenario where I have $200,000 in my IRA, I want to purchase a property for $300,000. If my IRA qualifies, I can even get a non-recourse loan to make the investment. And of course, any earnings on the IRA held portion grow tax deferred or tax free. The earnings on the proportion of funds that were borrowed could be taxable. So that would be something you'd want to talk with certainly one of our business development managers about a little bit more if you were to borrow, or your CPA or tax advisor. They're going to know it probably in more depth. There's a question here, how do you invest in an LLC with your IRA? Self-direct, then start LLC with those funds, or is there another method? Clients can invest in an LLC, as I mentioned earlier, where they purchase the shares in a single member LLC, and it's primarily to allow control. Where a lot of real estate investors use it, so that in that scenario where someone asked a few minutes ago about how do I pay the contractor, well, you can submit the payment authorization form through Entrust. Alternatively, through a single member LLC, you as the managing member would set up a checkbook, and then you would pay those expenses directly through that account. If you want to start an LLC that you own and operate, that generally is not something you can do. That would be self-benefiting from your IRA. So in that regard, generally speaking, no, you really can't do that. Can the LLC be a shareholder in an S Corp? If you send me your email, I'll verify this. I'm about 95% certain the answer is no, probably 99% certain. The reason being that although the IRA LLC is investing in an S Corp, the investments the IRA LLC or the LLC makes are part and parcel to your IRA. They're owned or invested in by your IRA. So the IRA is the trustee. It owns the LLC, and thus it owns anything in it. So I'm nearly certain that you could not do it, but if you want to send me your email address, I'll verify it to be 100% on it. Can the self-directed IRA invest in your spouse's business? No, your spouse would be a prohibited person, a disqualified person, and so the answer is no, they could not. There's another question about the office in the D.C. area. To be completely candid, Austin, we're hoping to open by the first 2 weeks of September, and we've been having a hard time finding a good candidate to staff that office. So it may get delayed. If you happen to know anyone, have them send me their resume, because we'd love to get it open early September. But I've already been out there and I've looked at office space, and we think we have that. It would be in McLean, Virginia. We're just trying to find the right mix to get it going. Okay, what, if any, are the tax implications of rolling an existing 401k to an SD IRA, or rolling a Roth IRA to an SD IRA? An existing 401k, you probably are limited. You'd have to look at the plan documents and the requirements or prohibitions within it, but most existing 401ks are not eligible for self-direction or investing in alternative assets. Very common for our clients is they have a 401k that's already rolled over. Maybe they left their job, and they roll over that 401k to Entrust, and then they begin investing. Rolling a Roth IRA to an SD IRA, it's simply transferring the current Roth or rolling it over to Entrust. So let's say you have a Roth IRA at Charles Schwab. You've got $100,000 in cash there. It would just be transferring it over to us. It's very simple. Whether the IRA is self-directed or not, they're all under the same regulations. They're all under the same Internal Revenue Code restrictions. It would be the same here, though. You could simply fill out a transfer form and open an account, and it generally takes 2, 3, 4 weeks for the IRA to transfer here, and then you could invest the same way you would over there, but we would allow you to invest in alternative assets. Where and who does Entrust use to hold the IRA funds? Does the client have the option to choose which institution? Oscar, it's an interesting question. It might be a little easier to speak more in depth if I don't cover this adequately for you in this discussion, so give me a call or send me a note. Client IRA funds, what we do is we don't want to put them in one institution for the reasons of mitigating risk. So what we do is the client funds, when they're sitting in cash, we literally deposit those in more than 100 different federally insured, FDIC-insured banks across the country as a means of mitigating risk, as well as ensuring that even if you have, say, $400,000 in cash in your IRA, that you are covered fully with FDIC insurance. Many of you are probably aware that if you have funds in a bank, you're federally insured in that bank per account only up to $250,000. So by using many, many different entities, we mitigate the risk on the off chance that a bank fails. We also ensure that you are fully covered with FDIC insurance, even if you have $2 million in cash in your account, which some of our clients do. The second part of your question, does the client have the option to choose which institution? The strict answer is yes, you do. If you have money sitting in cash and you want to, say, invest in a CD or money market of whatever institution you choose, you absolutely can direct us to do that. To be quite candid, if it's something that you're going to do, it's probably easier to do that at a Schwab or a Fidelity or a Wells Fargo. To simply choose the institution itself, because we're going to charge you for that, a buy transaction, if you will. And from a cost-effectiveness standpoint, if you're going to sit in cash for an extended period, you may be better off investing in them directly. Very, very common, however, for clients to purchase real estate, maybe do a fix and flip, sell the property 8 months later. They sit in cash for 3, 4, 5, 6 months while they're finding another investment property. And in that case, it kind of depends on your time horizon. Sometimes it makes more sense to leave it with us. It just depends, and you'd have to look at your specific scenario, or we would have to look at that, and we'd be happy to do so. You can give me a call, or you can contact any business development manager to talk about it, or our client services team here in Oakland, who's terrific. Just call the 800 number. Must pooling be done through an LLC, and if not, then is there a required investment vehicle? Robert, if I understand your question correctly, what you're asking is, let's say in that scenario where two separate parties want to invest in real estate. Let's say it's that 300,000 property. You and a friend each put in 150,000 to do it. Do you have to do it via an LLC? And the answer is no. You don't. You don't have to do it through any particular investment vehicle whatsoever. As well, you can even have one person use their IRA funds. So let's say you're investing 200,000, or I'm sorry, 150,000 of your IRA funds, you're partnering with a friend or a business associate. Their 150,000 can be from their IRA or from non-retirement funds. Doesn't matter. You can pool together with 5 investors to make that purchase through pretty well any combination, whether IRA funds, non-IRA funds, doesn't matter. The real key there is ensuring that you're not investing with disqualified parties, or if you are, that you do so at inception. What is the difference or pros and cons of setting up checkbook control by LLC and business trust? Great question, Oscar. I'll give you kind of the thumbnail of that, and hopefully this will cover some of what you're seeking. The advantages to an LLC are primarily the checkbook control and the access to funds. It makes life a lot easier to invest, and you save on fees because you're writing the checks yourself. An LLC can also provide limited liability protection from claims, let's say a slip and fall if someone sues you on that property. For someone in California specifically, they have to consider that even if they don't have any revenue flowing through the IRA LLC, they will be subject to the $800 annual franchise tax here. So if you're investing over 3, 4, 5 years in that time horizon, you may pay, $4,000 or $5,000 to the state in California specifically for the LLC. So that's a real disadvantage if you're here. And I'll get into the business trust in a minute. But the disadvantages to the LLC, you have to maintain the records. There's a cost to create it. And again, the taxes. With regard to the business trust, the advantages are very similar. You can have the checkbook control, the immediate access to funds. The one distinction behind it is it can afford a greater degree of privacy on your information. The disadvantage can be the cost to create. I know the quotes that I've seen on business trusts here in California have been $1,500 to $2,500, where an LLC can be theoretically something you set up on your own, or you can pay someone. So it does cost more. You may have to file taxes with the state with either one. You have to check with your state and your financial advisor. The other thing to consider when comparing a business trust and LLC, not only the state that you're in, but potentially the duration of your investments. If you have, if you're intending to invest in real estate, say for a longer term horizon of 4 or 5 years, that business trust becomes more compelling from a setup standpoint, because although it's a higher upfront cost of, say, a couple $1,000s, it's a one-time fee, where, again, in California and potentially some other states, but I don't think the majority, you may be paying that annual $800 fee. So, there's a cost comparison that you have to make there between your state and your investment horizon. I'll try to go through a few more questions here. We typically, try to cut these off after roughly an hour. So I'll go through a few more. But again, anyone who has any questions that we, for some reason, don't get to in this call, please either give me a call or call that 800 number, or frankly, your best bet is to call your local business development manager, because it's a great way to establish a relationship, and they can be local to you. Okay. Ron has a question. I'm seeking investors in unsecured loan units for an industrial real estate venture. using the Entrust Group, how do we approach investors while at the same time complying with Securities Act Reg D restrictions on marketing? Great question, Ron. To be candid, I'm not very familiar with the Reg D restrictions. A quick aside on that is we will be having a program in Marina del Rey outside Los Angeles on October 18th, talking specifically about private placement offerings, how people can do due diligence on those, and talking about the impact of the Jobs Act, which if you're not familiar with, I can send you some information, but the Jobs Act will really change the face of how funds can be raised and how individuals can invest in private offerings. And it's expected to be a game changer for this business. But in terms of working with Entrust as a B2B partner, what I can tell you is we commonly will do an event where we'll talk about self-direction, and prospectively you as a business partner can talk about a fund, if you will, or a real estate venture in general, and how they work and the types of things clients should look for in terms of due diligence, presenting them information and educating them on how those investments work. You can't sell or make an offering there, but you can, in a sense, educate them and develop credibility. They obviously understand what you do by how you're educating them, and they can certainly approach you thereafter, and you can have a one-on-one discussion. But I apologize that I'm not familiar with the specific Reg D restrictions, but certainly through education you can talk about those types of investments in general and say, this is who I am and what I do, and get your message out there indirectly. Can the self-directed IRA loan money to an S-Corp? Great question, Christine. I've honestly never come across it. I don't know to be sure. I will check with our registration team here and see if we have your email and try to follow up on that afterwards. But I'm not 100% certain on it. So I'd rather check than potentially misinform you. And I'm just going to pause here for a quick second because I want to copy down the names of who is asking these questions so that I don't lose it. And I'll be addressing one or two other questions here in just a moment, but I don't want to lose these names so that potentially I can follow up with anything to either supplement or answer anything that I might have missed. Thank you very much for your patience while I'm doing this. Okay, and I'll get to one or two more questions here in just a second, and then we will wrap up. Okay, again, Christine, great question. If for some reason I don't have access to your email, please do send me a note because I can find you the answers for that in very short order. I currently loaned my money guaranteed by a deed of trust. Does 100% of the proceeds or profits have to go back into the IRA? Godfredo, if the IRA made the investment in the trust deed, then the proceeds or profits do flow back into the IRA. All income and expenses associated with your IRA investment flow into and out of the IRA. There are lots of webinars that will go into that in much more depth. You can download those or talk again with the team here. Just give a call to the 800 number or your local office. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up right now. Anyone who would like a copy of this presentation, please just send me a note and let me know. And Randy, I'm sorry about the time mix-up. We do have these the second Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific time. But great questions. Thank you for your patience with me not knowing the answers to every one of them, but I'd rather tell you or provide you the correct information than guess. And do follow up and enjoy the day, and let us know how we can assist you or how you can grow your business. Take care. Enjoy the day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Please stand by.